Between now and Selection Sunday on March 13th, there are still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special, which includes the rest of college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. Sign up for this promotion now at your favorite handicappers homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship on Monday, April 4th for just $177. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experience in sports. Act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time.
It is Wednesday, March 2nd, as we inch ever so closer to more madness in the month of March. We've got some conference tournament action starting this week. More importantly, we got the final week of the regular season for some big-time college basketball. NBA every day as well. We're going to cover all that here on Wager Talk today on Wednesday. Here live, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Wager Talk TV and archived 24/7. Don't forget, on the YouTube channel. And don't forget about your podcast as well when you're traveling around and driving. Listen to us on audio version as well. Wager Talk today, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. And this is the Wednesday show, which means we have great guests as always. Going to start off with Tony Mejia from WagerTalk.com. Tony's going to look at some college basketball, also a little NBA. We got Teddy covers in between with the big game breakdown, SEC style. And then also Jay Money. First time I get to do this show with Jay Money here on Wager Talk today. He's been on a few times to talk NBA. He is an NBA expert, of course. And then it's Wednesday, so we finish off with Arthur Dicesare from the Westgate in Las Vegas. But Teddy, before we get to all of that, I got to know if you learned anything last night on Tuesday in the wide world of sports.
Somehow, some way, I find something to learn every night, Steve. But last night, so I cashed a 5% big ticket winner with Wisconsin last night. And that begs the question, with the betting markets, having Purdue favored in that ballgame, are teams lucky or are they good? Part of the reason why I bet Wisconsin as a big ticket last night was the fact that they were 14-0 their last 14 tries in games decided by 6 points or less, winning every close game. They were 12-1. This is going into the game in point spreads lined between +4.5 and -4.5. So the close games, somehow, some way, Wisconsin's found ways to win them. What did they do last night? Their last two buckets both came in on banked-in three-pointers. The game winner was way off. It banked in anyway. Was it lucky? Absolutely. But teams like Wisconsin create their own luck. Providence is the other team this year that stands out like a sore thumb. Top 5 in Ken Palm's luck factor. And the markets disrespect these quote-unquote lucky teams. I've been in Vegas 25 years, Steve. Some teams have it, and analytics, some teams, I should say have it. Some teams just have it. You know what I mean? They have that it factor, and the analytics will always point you in the wrong direction on those teams. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They didn't have the advanced metric numbers. What they do in the postseason, 4-0 against the spread in the postseason. I don't know that Wisconsin's going to go deep in the tournament, but my MO is that when you find a team that doesn't fit into the analytics profiles, a team that is consistently, not once or twice, but consistently finding a way to overachieve due to their analytics, those are not teams to step in front of. They hold value long term. Badgers made me money last night. Providence made me money too this season. How about you, Mr. Merril? What did you learn last night?
Yeah, I was going to piggyback on the Providence angle because we've talked about that quite a bit on this show. We talked about it again yesterday on the college basketball show, which is on at 2 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday here on this network. And it's official. Providence is no longer the luckiest team in the country after their loss last night, Teddy. And it's ironic because they covered as a 9.5-point dog, losing by just 2. But they're now the second luckiest team in the nation. NC Wilmington, who I mentioned as the second team, has jumped up to number 1. They start their CAA tournament. And here again, the reason these teams keep covering, like you said, is because the odds makers just are not adjusting. We look at the Colonial odds for this weekend's tournament. There's 9 teams. Wilmington is ranked 6th to win the tournament, even though they won the regular season. So it just shows they're not making adjustments still. And I've seen Wilmington play in person. They're a bad defensive team. They have been very lucky. And once again, luck is based on just straight up win record being better than it should be. based on the metrics. So that's why Providence losing last night bumped them down a teeny bit because they lost a close game finally. One other thing I want to point out about today's card, we will not be touching on Middle Tennessee Charlotte. That game goes at 7 Eastern tonight. But Middle Tennessee State, the most profitable team in the country out of 358 Division I teams. They're now 21-5 against the spread. They beat Charlotte by 15 a few weeks ago, and they're only a 1.5, 2-point road favorite. So that's exactly why they keep covering. I actually kind of like Charlotte in that game, though. Just a disclaimer. I looked at it last night with Morency, but they've been a money machine. Pacific, by the way, 4-21. They're the worst point spread team in the country this year. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, when you find the Middle Tennessee, and I watched Middle Tennessee cover a spread last week, they had absolutely no business covering. A tie game, they're laying, I forget what they were laying, 5.5, 6.5, whatever it was. Tie game with a minute left, and they made and got every break in the last minute and ended up winning by 9. Now you say, is that random? Because the Ken Palms of the world say, oh, that's completely random. You can't predict any of this luck. It's nonsense. At this stage of the season, it's not luck, okay? Teams that have consistently found ways to win tight games, maybe that they didn't deserve. They have a level of confidence. They're down 4 with 4 minutes left. They've got a whole lot more confidence in their ability to win that game than a team that's down 4 with 4 to play that hasn't won these games all year. And it matters. And that's not something that you can point at the analytics and say, oh, look, the math is going to show this. It doesn't show it. The math shows these teams are supposed to be losing, but they're finding ways to win. But this is a game played by humans, not by calculators. And when you find a team that is consistently overachieving and has that confidence level, when it's a close game, we're going to win it. In my mind, that's very meaningful, and the markets don't react to that at all. They say these teams are lucky. I say these teams are teams we can make money with.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons I once again recommend not trying to catch the falling knife, or as Gabe Morency and I have coined phrased, these fast rising teams are dodge a speeding bullet. So if you do play Charlotte tonight, which is actually the way I lean in that game, you'll be trying to dodge a 21-5 ATS speeding bullet by only getting a couple points. By the way, their luck index, they're only like in the low 100s. So Ken Palm kind of has them right where they're scheduled, right where they're seated as far as their power rating. Providence is like ranked in the 40s, and they're the second luckiest. Wisconsin, number 5 or 6 last I checked. And to close this out, the least lucky teams in the country, if you want to look at it the other way around, the most unlucky team out of 358, Washington State. Second most unlucky, Northwestern. So there's a couple teams in the big conferences that you might want to keep an eye on. Maybe they're a little underrated heading into the conference tournaments this week coming up. Tony Mejia, WagerTalk.com, another guy you will see on the college basketball show quite often here at 2 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. And Tony, let's start off with one of your college games. But first, I want to get your thoughts on the luck index. Is it something that you keep an eye on? And what are your thoughts? Do you think that you do? Yeah. Well, first of all, folks, it's a straight up win-loss thing, basically. So I don't use it much from a handicapping perspective. But Teddy's point about, teams find a way to win close games. Dave Koken made the same point about Providence again yesterday. Your thoughts on that? Do you think some of these teams outperform their luck index?
Yeah, I think the luck metric is stupid. I understand that it's there. Hey, we do these things every night. We watch games, swing on one possession. I don't need a number to tell me who does what most consistently, especially this time of year, because Teddy's spot on. If you're a winning team down the stretch, you find ways to get the job done. Was it tremendous luck that Johnny Davis, trying to get a foul, banks in a key shot late in that game, where otherwise Purdue's coming down with the ball, and a chance to win that game? Absolutely. And then they come back after missing a free throw and giving Ivy a run-up 3 and get another bank shot from Chucky Hepburn. That's a complete fluke. But they put themselves in position to win that game by Wall acting like Zach Edey isn't 7'3" and going right above him, time after time down the stretch. All that stuff is quantitative and it's stupid. But I'm partial to the Torvik metrics and Haslam metrics. Ken Palmer does a great job too, and his numbers have been a staple of college basketball handicapping for a long time. I'm not a big advocate of the luck factor.
Yeah, and something else too I want to point out is that, Ken Pom was great 5 or 10 years ago when it was under the radar, just like Blue Ribbon was in the late 90s when Teddy and I started, and then everybody started using the Blue Ribbon Annual every year, and all the underrated teams became known. And I really, the odds makers do look at Ken Pom. I really feel like you got to find something else now if you want to be ahead of the curve. Use it as a filter like you do with any handicapping device. With that said, I'm going to look at the 353rd most unlucky team in the country this year, Tony Mejia, and that's the Oklahoma State Cowboys playing Iowa State. Two good defensive teams tonight. Which way are you going in this one?
They're the unluckiest team because they have no hope of making the tournament. And maybe if they had some hope, because the stupid NCAA screwed them, then they would be better off than they had, and their luck metric would be a little better. But I digress. Look, they played 3 consecutive overtime games, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and this is a game that I had circled weeks ago. And I'm not typically a huge spot guy, but let me break down why this looked so appetizing. They get Baylor at home on February 21st. Obviously, that's a huge game. They played out of their minds. They lost in overtime. They were really unfortunate to lose that game. Then they play at Oklahoma. And obviously, they're going to be really up for that game. Again, lost in overtime. They're going to close out the season at home at Gallagher-Iba against Texas Tech on Saturday. That's a huge game. Again, this is a Cowboy squad that has not quit on Mike Boynton. You have to tip your hat to that because once you get the deflating usage, you're not playing for anything. You're out to play spoiler. Guys could really take a step backwards on that team. Have not quit one iota. And sandwiched in those 4 games is this spot at Iowa State, Hilton Magic, and all of that. This is the one spot where if there's a letdown, I expect it to be here. Plus, Iowa State comes in absolutely needing to win this game because they dug themselves a hole in Big 12 play that they're trying to dig out of. They've got a winning streak going. They're 10-0 against Oklahoma State on senior nights, 5-0 since 2013. I'm not really a huge fan of trends like that because teams change. But in this instance, the fact that you're closing out another home schedule at a place that's historically one of the top venues, home court advantage wise, in all of college basketball, I think does play. Isaiah Brockington and Kalisher, all these guys that transferred into Iowa State can come back next year, but who knows whether they will or not. And again, this is going to be a big game for them. The spread is right at -4. So to me, Iowa State is probably one of the better bets on the board tonight. So I'm giving that out for free. That's going to be a client play. It might even be a 4% for me. Really love this game tonight.
So I know you like the side here. I want to talk about the total real quick because the total fascinates me in this ballgame. For much of the season, I was looking to play Iowa State under the total. A team that completely changed their MO from where they were a couple of years ago to where they are now. But they've been actually cashing over tickets of late. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State, who was cashing over tickets earlier, you talked about they just played the 3 straight overtime games. 2 of the 3 OT games stayed under even after the extra session with room to spare. So they've been trending under. Do you have any thoughts on this total? 2 teams that are kind of trending in opposite directions right now.
Well, hat tip to Greg Jacobson, who does a great job covering all of college basketball. He, really does has for years. He pointed out the road home splits for these teams and how Iowa State is 14th in the country in defensive efficiency, but there's a huge disparity with them going on the road and defending, and Oklahoma State allowing 8.7 points more per possession on the road than at home. Both of these teams do get to the free throw line a lot. So in essence, the lean would be to the over, considering, what you mentioned, the fact that Iowa State was playing slow down games, as soon as Otzelberger got there. And I think that's the direction that he wants to take the program. But again, you look at it, Oklahoma State has played 3 consecutive overtime games. You kind of want to test those legs if you're Iowa State, especially at home. And over the last 3 games, Iowa State at home beat Oklahoma 75-54, hung 84 on West Virginia in a game they had to do that because the Mountaineers really got off to a fast start and Iowa State had to chase them down. Brockington was tremendous in that game, and ended up getting that win late, 84-81. And then the last game at Kansas State, which again is a slow down team that has sped things up a little bit due to their personnel. That game was 74-73. So yeah, you look at the Cyclones kind of speeding things up a little bit. To me, even though it's a big game for Iowa State, I would say they're going to have to score here, so it's over or pass on that end. But again, I think the Cyclones side is the way to go here. 4 straight wins. They need a 5th. They've got a trip to Waco over the weekend. That makes this a must-win.
Tony Mejia says, take Iowa State and lay the 4 at home against Joe Verneri's Oklahoma State Cowboys, who are just 10-18 against the spread this year on the road. Obviously have nothing to play for it. It's shown overall just 4.9 ATS on the road as well. Tony, let's talk about lucky teams, unlucky teams in college basketball. I don't know what you would call this next team in the NBA. I guess you could almost say they've been the luckiest team from a point spread perspective. This is a team that's 19-42 straight up, the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they're a mind-blowing 38-21 against the spread. That's probably the dichotomy, disparity, whatever term you want to use, I've ever seen in my 25-year career handicap in the NBA. They continue to cover, and the reason they're so bad straight up is they're a terrible offensive team, the worst in the league. They shoot 42% on the season, which is really bad for the NBA. But they can keep games close, and they keep covering. I'm sure you're not going to fade them as a big dog. I want to know about the total, though. They've actually gone over 5 straight. Has something changed with that offense? They're at Denver tonight.
Well, I mean, right now they don't have Lou Dort or Josh Giddey, and Josh Giddey has been a wonderful catalyst as a rookie, both hitting the boards and most impressively being a facilitator, like a tremendous passer, just instinctive. And that kid's special. He's got a really bright future, but he's out tonight. Dort, their top defender, who if he consistently hits that 3-pointer is a completely different player. Also out tonight. They've got some other guys banged up. So this is the Thunder B squad, except that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's back and is looking tremendous. Had another big night the other night. And at this point, you look for guys like Isaiah Roby, the Trey Mann, the rookie out of Florida, who's stepped up and played some to try to take some pressure off of him. But you're really looking at Oklahoma City's B squad for the most part with SGA trying to get a cover, getting 14 and a half at Denver. And Denver right now is in a chill spot. They just played the worst team in the NBA right now in the depleted Portland Trailblazers the other night. Were extremely sloppy and still won. It was over 30 at some point. It was my 5% play, and I was still sweating it out because of how sloppy they were and how awful Will Barton looked before he departed. He's going to be back tonight. Look, the Rockets are up next for Denver. So this is a spot where you work on stuff. If you're the Nuggets, that's why my lean would be to take the points with Oklahoma City. But I just think that the total is a better play because the Thunder has gone over in 5 straight games, regardless of who's in and out of the lineup. And there's no way that they can do anything to prevent Nikola Jokic from dominating the game. And Jokic had something like 4 points and 10 assists right before half against Portland the other night. They're working without Yusuf Nurkic. Very similar here. I think Oklahoma City will probably start with Derek Favors until he eats up his 2 fouls, and then they got to go to Roby and their other undersized bigs. So Jokic is going to do what he wants out there, but there are advantages that the Thunder can take it to Hill too, from trying to pick on Facundo Campazzo when he comes in. He's so small out there. He's running that second unit. It's a situation where the Nuggets will probably be up 15 with about 5 minutes to go, and then Mike Malone can either pull his starters or not, and you'll get garbage time. And I think the over is the way to go as a result.
Yeah, Tony, and I hate to do this because I did it on the last game too. We were talking about the side, and I bring up the total. But here I want to ask you about the side. Because,
Sure.
At least the only time during the course of an NBA season that I'm really looking to, like, I might lay 14 and a half points with someone is when you get into this stretch run into March when the dead teams are really dead and you can start to you bet against them every game. Do you ever lay 14 and a half in the NBA, or is it like a one-way handicap in these type of games where somebody's laying 14 and a half, it's dog or pass for you, or are there spots where you want to lay it?
Oh, I mean, right now, if you're playing the Portland Trailblazers, who don't look like an NBA team, you're not taking 20 points. So to answer your question, look, and I would love the Thunder if they had Kenrich Williams, a guy that I know is busting it on every possession, or if Mike Muscala was out there to hit garbage time threes. And again, I think that the current Thunder unit can go ahead and trim a deficit like that, especially if they're working against a disinterested squad down the stretch. We'll see if Zeke Naji gets in there, but they just replaced Naji's production as the backup big to Jokic with DeMarcus Cousins, who looked tremendous the other night against the G League Blazers, and will play a big role tonight. And what's Cousins going to do? He's going to get to the free throw line. He's going to be a tremendous asset on offense and a liability on defense. So from that standpoint, that's another reason why the better lean, if you're going to touch this game, is on the high side, because efficiency-wise, he's going to get it done on the offensive end, and you expect that Mark Daigneault and the Thunder coaching staff will be able to take advantage of him defensively when he's out there.
It's Tony Mejia, WagerTalk.com, and you can tell Tony knows his NBA. In fact, he's the number one profit leader this season in the NBA, 94.5% return so far, Tony.
On sides. I don't want to.
On sides?
Yeah, I'll have an NBA package with a 4% headliner on a game I really like. We pushed because we didn't get the right number yesterday on the Lakers and Mavs. Had Mavs -5, and the Lakers ran that cover play late. Wish I would have gotten the 4.5, which was available both early and late. So I slipped in with the 5 right in the middle. Push there, but 3-0 on my last 3 5% in the league, and pushing forward.
That's once again on spread. He has so many runs on this page here. I misread the word spread profits leader, but still pretty impressive, Teddy. 94.5% return on NBA spreads in 21-22. And you can catch Tony also during the week on the NBA show at 4 Eastern, college show at 2 Eastern as well. He covers it all here at WagerTalk.com, WagerTalk TV. Teddy, let's talk some more college hoops in 30 seconds, SEC style. LSU at Arkansas, big game breakdown. We'll be right back.
Between now and Selection Sunday on March 13th, there are still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special, which includes the rest of college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. Sign up for this promotion now at your favorite handicappers homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship on Monday, April 4th for just $177. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experience in sports. Act fast, as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the SEC in college hoops action for tonight. Take a look at Arkansas and LSU. Right now, the Razorbacks, looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, Arkansas -5.5, let's call it total 141 against LSU. And look, if we're going to talk about what teams were in December and January, LSU was elite, man. This team was 15-1 to start the season, 13-3 against the spread. At 14, when they were 14-1, they were ranked as high as number 12. And a ton of impressive wins during that span. They beat Wake, they beat Kentucky, they beat Tennessee, Florida, many more. They're 5-8 since. The 5 wins all came against, 4 of them came against losing teams, and I don't know what Mississippi State is right now. They're something. And it was a non-cover against the Bulldogs. They beat A&M twice, Georgia, Mississippi, and Mississippi State. Not a good team in the bunch in their last 13 games. And yet, you look at the numbers, LSU still ranks number 18 in Ken Pom. They're one spot ahead of Arkansas at number 19. This team hasn't been good in 2 months. And the season-long stats still say they're good. Backcourt play hasn't been good. The front court, Torrey Eason's a monster. Terry Eason, Darius Days, they got a strong front court. The guard play hasn't been good enough. And what's the other end of the spectrum? Look at Arkansas. This team lost 5 out of 6 in late December, early January. They were favored in 4 of those games. Markets crashed on them. Since that skid, 13-1 their last 14 games. The only loss came by 1 at top 25 Alabama at the time. They've beaten the number 1 team Auburn. They've beaten number 13 Tennessee, number 7 Kentucky. They just knocked off this past weekend. 16-1 at Bud Walton Arena this year. 5.5 to me looks very reasonable. Ride the hot and fade the cold. LSU's season-long numbers are not indicative of their current play. Arkansas's season-long numbers are not indicative of their current level of play. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Ride the hot, fade the cold. Arkansas minus 5.5. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merril.
Yeah, LSU's been an interesting team, Teddy. I mean, they've been, top 4 basically defense, outside the top 100 in offense efficiency. So a very one-sided team there. And I like balanced teams, especially on the road. And I've also said that bad offensive teams on the road is what concerns you as well, because teams never shoot as well away from home normally than they do at home. So LSU's going to have to ugly that up tonight, I think, to hang with Arkansas on that strong home court. It's a little big game breakdown from Teddy Covers, WagerTalk.com. We're going to flip right back to the NBA, though. Of course, we got Arthur Dicesare on deck from the Westgate in Las Vegas coming up in a few moments. But first, let's talk some more NBA with Jay Money. And when the name Money is in the name, you better pay attention to the advice he gives you in the NBA. And, of course, you can get that advice every weekday at 1 o'clock Eastern right here on YouTube. You watch Wager Talk Today at noon Eastern, and then you stay on, you watch NBA Talk with Jay Money at 1 p.m. Eastern. And, Jay, welcome to the show. Let's get right into it. You got a couple Florida games you want to look at here. Tony Mejia's Orlando Magic, he might very well be going to that game tonight. He's got season tickets. As I joke, he leaves 2 on his car seat. Someone smashes the window and leaves him 2 more, so you might have 4 now for tonight. What do you think about the Magic here? I actually used them, Jay, on the NBA show here in Wager Talk last week as my free play laying points. People said, how can you lay points with a bad team? But the Houston Rockets are even worse. This is another competitive game. And by the way, they beat Indiana by 16 as a slight favorite after beating the Rockets by 8 as a favorite. Can they keep this 2-game win streak going against the Pacers tonight?
Yeah, first off, Steve, what's up to you? It's my first time doing a show with you. What's up, Teddy, as well? I love seeing your big game breakdowns. But yeah, as to this game, man, Steve, man, I like the revenge games just like you. I could only look towards the Pacers in this game. The Magic were favored by 2.5 in the last game. Now you see this line at 1. The oddsmakers are telling you that the Pacers have a much better chance of winning this game. The last game also, they didn't have Brogdon. They were just coming off that big win versus the Celtics the day before. So those are your clear letdown spot going to Orlando after a big win at the house. Now you have a day off to sit and steam over losing to one of the worst teams in the East. I mean, don't get it twisted. The Pacers aren't much better. You have the Magic sitting at 9-19 against the spread at the house, but the Pacers aren't much better. Only 6-24 straight up on the road and 12-16 and 2 against the spread. But this is a double revenge spot. The Pacers have already lost to the Magic twice now this year. They lost at home 118-119, and then they lost obviously the last game 119-103. Where they didn't have Brogdon. They are 10-3 against the spread, last 13 in Orlando. The Magic 2-6 against the spread, last 8 after a win. They also, like I said, only 9-19 against the spread at the house this year. And this is the last time that the Pacers face the Magic this year. So if you want to get a win over them, this is your chance. I like the Pacers here -1. It's nothing heavy for me, just a small bit, but I do think the Pacers get some revenge tonight, Steve.
So, Jay, I want to ask you, because I look at Orlando, all right, and I'm like, you got the Wagner brothers. You have Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba. You have Anthony and Suggs in the backcourt. You have OKK. You have Fultz back on the floor. Hampton showing promise. And, of course, you have Ross and Harris. I look at Orlando and say, they're not a good team, but this is a decent team. They're better than their record would indicate, and we've seen it in recent weeks. They've been playing better. Whereas Indiana is just a bunch of mismatched pieces that are just kind of stuck in there and, let's jack up a bunch of threes. And the nights where they're hitting threes, they'll win. But the nights where they're not hitting threes, Indiana's not beating anybody right now. That's all they have is a bunch of perimeter shooters that are going to jack up shots. I look at Orlando as by far the better of these two teams right now, and they're dogs. So talk to me about that. Do you think the Magic are as good as I think they are? I shouldn't say they're good. Do you think they're as mediocre as I think they are? You think Orlando is primed to make their backers money down the stretch here? Or is this simply look, 2 bad teams, one of them beat up on the other one the first time, expect the other one to get their revenge in the rematch? Talk a little bit about your thoughts on the Orlando Magic moving forward.
Yeah, Teddy, that's a great point. If you ask me, I think that the Magic. I'm one of the few guys that think that the Magic will be really good in the next few years. They finally have a coach. They're building the roster. Have a lot of young guys. You worry, do they even want to win this game? Right, one of the worst teams in the league, especially with the East. And we know that this is a new age in the NBA where teams would like to tank. They like to lose and get a better pick here. So you have to ask yourself, do the Magic even want to win this game and give a little bit more of a gap from the Pacers? But I agree with you. This team has some size. They're almost like a mini Cavs team. I see them being a really good point spread team next year with them having the three bigs out there, Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and Mo Bamba. But they can struggle offensively here. So this is another team. Like you say, they have the better defense, but the Pacers have the better offense here. Brogdon coming back in should help things out as well. And like you say, the Pacers, if they get cooking offensively here, they can really blow this team out. The Magic really can go through periods of time, 2-3 minutes, where they don't score a single bucket here. So I know they got Fultz back. I like the team with you, Teddy. I'm with you. But in this particular game, especially with the home and home stretch, I usually take the team that lost the first matchup or I stay off the game. So that's why I say it's a small play for me on the Pacers, but it's Pacers or nothing for me. It's simple.
Yeah, I mean, these home and home revenge spots are something you have to pay attention to. The NBA is all about situational handicapping. And I do think long term, though, like you both are saying, the Magic could be a little bit of a play on team if they don't look to tank here, as we've seen in the recent games. But a quick revenge spot for Indiana tonight. That game was good. 6-24 road team against a 7-21 home team. This game might be a little bit better. We've got the Miami Heat at 41-21 against the Milwaukee Bucks, who are actually 4 games behind them in the standings, surprisingly. Obviously, they've been a bit banged up at times. What are your thoughts on this one, Jay? I mean, this is a situation where Miami, the last 2 Eastern Conference champs, right, facing off against each other here. Does Milwaukee get back on track, or is Miami for real this season?
I think Miami is for real this season. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see them win the Eastern Conference. I know that the Nets are highly touted. The 76ers just got hardened, but this Heat team is one of the best defensive teams in the league, if you ask me. And their mindset, their motivation, they come to play every single night. I can't say that for the Bucks. While I do think the Bucks will be turned up for this game, I'm sure they're looking at the Heat being the number 1 team. This Bucks team is not the same team of last year. Obviously, with starting Portis at the 5, they don't have the same rim protection. They don't have the same that same bench production as well. If you look at the bench over here, the last 5 games for the Miami, they have the number 4 defense as far as coming off the bench. No, offensive rating. The Heat have the number 7 offensive rating off the bench last 5 games. Bucks number 25. And when you look at it as well, the Heat have the number 4 defense over the last 5 games, whereas the Bucks down to 20. They're the 26 rated. So they're not really locking up. They're just trying to beat teams with their offense. And I don't think that'll work against the Miami Heat team who have PJ Tucker, who won that championship round with the Bucks. He knows the team well. I think the Heat can keep this game close, if not win it. I know that Lowry is out. That's not good, but they still have Gabe Vincent coming there. They can have Butler run the point guard. Tyler Hero usually dices this Bucks team up as well. You also have playoff revenge. The Heat will think about that all season. While the home team has won all 3 straight meetings, I still think the Heat are still steaming over getting 4-0'd and getting swept in last year's playoffs here. They're also 5-0-1 against the spread last 6 road games, and they're 13-5 as an underdog. That's number 1 in the NBA. I like the Heat here plus the points, my guys.
Jay Money, I got to ask you, buddy. Does Kyle Lowry matter? You know, the more I watch Miami, the more I think I like the Heat every bit as much with him not on the floor as him on the floor. But are you feeling the same way with the Heat, with Lowry? You know, he's been bouncing in and out of the lineup in recent weeks, and it doesn't seem like the markets are making big adjustments for Kyle Lowry. But the basic question, does Kyle Lowry matter for Miami right now?
You're damn right, Teddy. He definitely matters here. Like I say, I'd love to have Lowry in here, but he's not in there. What am I going to do? That doesn't sway me. Just that one player doesn't sway me to be on the Bucks here. I've been watching this team closely. This is not, the Bucks are still being priced like the team of last year, and I don't think that they are the same team, and they seem not to have the same motivation as well. They know that they can kind of just coast through this season, and it really matters what they do in the playoffs. Doesn't matter what seed you get. They've been the number 1 seed plenty of times and still got smacked up here. So I see the Bucks kind of just coasting this regular season. This is a big game for them. I can't say the Bucks will take this game serious, but the Heat also will as well. So to answer your question, Teddy, Lowry matters, but I still think that this is a game where the Heat have to win this game with defense and rebounding. And over the last 5 games, the Heat have been number 4 in the league in rebounding, whereas the Bucks have been number 18th. So I think the Heat, as long as they bring the defense, they can win this game, Teddy.
I like it. We go against Joe Ranieri's Oklahoma State Cowboys, Tony Mejia does, and then Jay Money goes against Tony Mejia's Orlando Magic, but he's coming back with Joe Ranieri's Miami Heat here to finish it off and make everything right. Jay Money, and by the way, you can find Jay on Twitter. Jay Money is money. Confirms the fact that Jay Money is money. And Jay, 1 o'clock Eastern, YouTube here. Jay Money's NBA Talk with Jay Money. And, Andy Lang was on recently. Rob Vino. I've seen a Ronald Kabang sighting. What else you got going on, Jay?
Yeah, that's what I do, man. Every single day, even Monday through Sunday, I'm going live on YouTube, giving the people my best NBA pick. And also, so today I have Ski on the show. We're going on at 2 p.m. Eastern. I think today and tomorrow I'll be going on 2 p.m. But mostly it's from somewhere around 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern every single day on YouTube. Go check me out. You can just type in Jay Money on YouTube and the show should come up. NBA Talk with Jay, usually at 1 p.m. Eastern, giving out free NBA picks, sometimes college picks as well. Just trying to get some cash for the people.
Yeah, once again, that's archived 24/7 on his channel on YouTube. It's another reason to hit subscribe, hit the like buttons. NBA Talk with Jay Money. Thanks for joining us, Jay. We'll catch up with you soon. And Teddy, another guy that's a Wednesday staple here is, of course, Arthur Dicesare from the Westgate in Las Vegas. But I got a quick note. We had the presidential address yesterday, and it went over so well that we got requests for more today. I checked before Jay came on. We were already at like 60-some likes. So I'm sure we're going to crush it now after that great segment. But if anybody wants to see a presidential address, concise version, I hear it's only like 30 seconds, so that's even more of a reason. There we go.
I yelled at him yesterday, yeah.
That's what we call a compromise. We're up to like 87 likes now, Teddy, so 13 likes, we get a compressed Prez, which we all want to hear, see, and love. Before we do so, though, let's get Arthur Dicesare on from the Westgate in Las Vegas. And Arthur, it's always great to see you. I saw Prez last week, loved your blue shirt, so I guess I've got to love your blue shirt today. How are you doing, my man?
Gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Steve, it's great to be here with you. Sometimes it's nice to have a break from Perez. I see Teddy shaking his head. Big smile. This will be a great, fun segment. No arguing. We'll all get along. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, we'll find something to argue about. Don't kid yourself. It's what we do. But let me start with this. Of course, talking to Arthur Dicesare from the Westgate Superbook at ArtDice21. He's an excellent follow on Twitter, just like Jay Money is Money. He's a good follow on Twitter as well. And Tony Mejia too. All good follows on Twitter today.
Mejia De Niro. Mejia De Niro.
Yeah. Mejia De Niro. Thank you so much. Which is it's a good Twitter handle. It is.
It's a great handle.
Yeah. But so here we are. We're the first couple of days of March, and I was telling my wife last night. I'm like, the madness really starts next week, and for the next 3 weeks, don't expect to see me a whole lot. Once the conference
she had a big
starts,
smile. She had a big smile after that, Art.
Big dance.
She had a big smile.
Is that the same in your world?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a lockdown.
100%. I mean, this week, it starts to ramp up. Obviously, the smaller conferences start kind of getting rolling today and tomorrow and as we go. But once you get the big boys in, the big Power 5 conferences that will start next week, I always tell people too, 5 of these conference tournaments are in town. Vegas has become like the epicenter of college basketball. It's huge here. So yeah, it really is. It's awesome. We had a lot of these great regular season games here this year, and then we have 5 conference tournaments. No other place can even say I think they have more than one. So yes, next week it will start to really rev up, and then like you said, basically from there 3 weeks, and then we start going. But you start to feel the energy. You start to see people coming in, asking for more futures, more, hey, you got conference tournament stuff up, this, that, and the other. So yes, this is where we really lock in. Obviously, the calendar turned to March yesterday, so the madness is starting to come.
And Arthur, can you imagine just 10, 15 years ago, you couldn't have bet on any of those 50 teams playing in those conference tournaments this next couple of weeks because the games would have been in the state of Nevada. And that's probably one of the reasons we didn't see many there a decade ago as well. It's definitely changed since Teddy and I started in the 90s. You couldn't bet on Nevada Arena or UNLV back in the day in the state of Nevada.
That was very brief, though. There was only a couple years that they wouldn't let it. I think that.
Well, it was brief up until they changed it, but that was the way it was.
After I got to Vegas.
Yeah, throughout the 90s, though, you could not. It changed at some point, but before that, it wasn't like it was on and off. In fact, I remember Caesars, you couldn't have the Rangers or the Knicks games because they had a piece of Madison Square Garden back in the 90s. That was bizarre as hell, too. And yeah, things have definitely changed. But yeah, Reno and UNLV were off the board till maybe the late 90s, I guess, probably about when you got there. Arthur, I want to ask you about futures before I forget. Any liability on any of these college teams, and what kind of handle do you guys get on the NCAA futures compared to like the NBA or something? But more importantly, are there any teams you might be a little lopsided on so far?
We get pretty good future stuff across all the major sports. College basketball is one of the majors. You got to throw it in there. The blue bloods are the ones that take the money. The Kentuckys, the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the Kansases. Gonzaga's become one of those teams. They take a lot of money. But Gonzaga's been, basically 3.5, 4-1 this whole year. There are some teams that were a little bit lower on the board that have kind of crept up this year. Auburn's one of those teams you got to throw up there. That basically was all the way down the board and then basically went to under 10-1. But with so many teams in college basketball and all the money you're going to take, you rarely have a big liability. So no liabilities for us. We just are happy that we take all the money, 358 teams. Obviously, not all of them are going to take money, but there's just so many of them that take money. A team that took a lot of money early in the year that's probably not even going to make the tournament, I guess, unless they win the Big Ten. Michigan took a ton of money this year. They were like the second or third choice. So, sometimes things like that can happen where you take so much money on a team like that in the top 2 or 3 or 4 to start the year, and then they might not even make the tournament. So we'll be just fine no matter who wins.
Yeah, 357 of the 358 teams who are taking money are not going to cash their tickets. And as long as you're not paying out 358 to 1 on the winner, you should be all right. But I specifically want to ask you about the team that I talked about in my big game breakdown today, the Arkansas Razorbacks. I talked earlier in the week, I believe it was on the opening line report on Monday, where I was talking about the best way to bet any of these teams on the future markets is to forget about the future markets, just bet them on the money line every game. And I was reprimanded via a text after the game by a friend of mine who has real good context with the wise guys. He said, you know what? They're betting Arkansas at 75 to 1, and you're not going to get that on that particular team if they end up winning all 6 games. Are you seeing anything on Arkansas? Are there any other teams in that like 50, 75 to 1 range that have taken action? And are you worried at all about liability on a team in that range, in that price range?
Teddy, Arkansas is an interesting team. They've been great against the spread. They've kind of been a team that's been under the radar. Obviously, in the SEC, everyone talks about Kentucky. Auburn's gotten a lot of love as well. I'll give you a team that's not in the 75 to 1 range, but they're in the 30 to 40 range, a team like Houston. Houston doesn't get a lot of love. That was a team that was in the Final Four last year. Obviously, they play in a smaller type conference. They don't get a ton of love, but I just think from a value standpoint, there are some people who feel Houston's pretty good. Even a team like Villanova, Villanova sitting there 16 to 1. We know what they do as far as the tournament pedigree of them goes. Jay Wright, obviously a great tournament coach, 2 national championships to show for it. So I think when you look at that, just value-wise, when it's not, Kentucky at 7 to 1 or, Gonzaga at 4 to 1. So teams like Villanova and Houston have been teams that are interesting when you just look at the value.
This, of course, Arthur Dicesare, Westgate Superbook supervisor on the Las Vegas Strip, and Art Dice 21 on Twitter. And Arthur, let's transition over to the NBA. And by the way, Teddy, I totally agree with you. For the most part, you're always better off if people understand what you're saying. It's just play the team you like to win it on a money line each game, and then you roll it back in. So you're making your own parlay for 5 or 6 games. I mean, that almost always pays off better. And the great thing about that, guys, is if a key player blows his knee out in game 4, you can stop the bet, right, and just take the profits at that point too. So it's even better for that reason because you have more hedging opportunity. Arthur, NBA, Teddy talked about it a couple of days ago. The favorites continue to struggle, cover for the most part before the All-Star break and afterwards. What are you seeing in the NBA? Any actionable info? Any other thoughts on pro basketball?
Yeah, the NBA is crazy with these favorites. Like you said, before the All-Star break that whole week, we basically were fighting against that. It wasn't good for us, and it's kind of continued here. The 2 things I'll throw out NBA-wise, they're actually not even spread. They're total. Kings Pelicans, that opened 235.5. It's now 233.5, maybe even 233. So you've seen some under money come in on that. And then a game you guys touched on with Jay, Heat at Bucks, opened at 227. It's now 225.5. So a little bit of under money as well on that. Nothing spread-wise so far, but yeah, we get plenty of people who want to come to the window and just bet these favorites in parlays. Also, even just throw them in money lines, connect 3 or 4 of them, even if they're big spreads, you connect 3, 4, 5 of these teams on the money line, you cash a nice little ticket. So we definitely fight that every day here with the NBA favorites.
Art, real quick, in the last minute or so, I was going to see, Teddy, you want to ask him any NHL, anything, other thoughts you've got?
I want to ask him about college hoops for today. I mean, we've got conference tournament action going right now. The Big South is in play. And for those of you wondering, North Carolina AT&T up by 11 over Radford at the 4-minute mark of the second, 4-minute timeout of the second half. But in terms of like the Big South Conference, the Northeast Conference, the Ohio Valley Conference, the Horizon in play last night, is that all wise guy action? Does the public get involved there? And if the wise guys are betting anything in conference tournaments today, what is it?
Yeah, Teddy, the smaller conferences are the wise guys and the sharp bettors. It really is a sharp sport, the college basketball. Like I've said it on this show many a times. They're on college basketball early. The public is now just getting to college basketball. A team I'll throw out there for the Horizon just to win it, we saw a lot of outrights to win, was Oakland at plus 450 to win that tournament outright. So you saw some pretty good sharp money coming on that. And another one, too, in a conference tournament that I believe starts tomorrow, the Missouri Valley. A lot of northern Iowa tickets at plus 450. So you've seen both outrights for those two teams to win their conference tournaments.
Yeah, and Loyola Chicago, pretty heavy favorite in the Missouri Valley Conference this year. And then you got Missouri State and Northern Iowa in that 4-1 range right after them. And that one does start tomorrow, as you said, Art. Arthur Dicesare, Sportsbook Supervisor of the Westgate, is going to get pretty busy for you in the coming weeks. You might see some of the Wager Talk family out there in a couple weeks as well, Art. What else you got going on at the Westgate?
Yeah, I saw that tweet. I believe you guys said Friday the 18th. So that's going to be a very fun day. Obviously, I will be there. So it'd be nice to be able to pop into the clubhouse and say hi to all my friends. But yeah, guys, just as always, anytime you're down at the Westgate, if you need any help, you just come ask for Arthur Dicesare. I'll be more than happy to help you with whatever you need. Get your future sheets, get you set up with the app, some drink tickets, whatever I can do for you. You just come down, you ask for me. I'll be more than happy to help.
That's and I got to say, Art Dicesare in person is exactly like Art Dicesare on air. He's as friendly and approachable as any person you'll ever meet. He's not. I don't mean this in a bad way, but you're not an intimidating figure, Art. You're just a nice guy. So we appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great Wednesday.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Art. It's always great seeing you. And once again, ArtDice21, another great Twitter handle, as you said, Teddy. ArtDice21, of course. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, just like it's spelled. And then at Teddy_covers, at Teddy_covers. Teddy, by the way, what is it, a 9-2 all sports run the last 4 days for you? You've got a pair of best bets tonight at WagerTalk.com. I've got college and pro hoops as well. And don't forget, site-wide, each and every one of us get the rest of the college basketball regular season for free, because when you get the 177 March Madness special, we're including the rest of the regular season for free. It's going to be the same price next week and 2 weeks from now. It's going to be 177 when the tournament begins. So why not sign up now and get the next 2 weeks for free? 177 gets the rest of college basketball from each and every capper, Teddy covers, and myself, Steve Merril included, at WagerTalk.com. Teddy, give me 30 seconds because we're up to like 130 likes. We like doubled the likes in the last 5 minutes because the nation, the public, wants a concise version of the presidential address. Dan, kick it to us.
Hey guys, daily presidential address. I'm in Boca. Just hit a good shot. Anyway, we won our 5% play last night. Thank you guys so much for grabbing it. Real quick, we like the Dallas Stars minus 130 tonight. That's the only free bet I'm making. So good luck, kick ass. Hopefully Steve and Teddy are killing it. You guys are enjoying. We'll see you tomorrow. Daily presidential address out.
I got a little nervous there when I saw the 2-minute clock. I thought there was some misunderstanding. I had some false advertising. The only thing that would have made that better, and had I done it, the ball would have come at Prez at the very end. He would have ducked down or something. I mean, he's got I thought he did stand-up comedy, Teddy. I mean, that was a golden opportunity missed there. And I can only imagine the over-under on how many takes to get that great shot before he went live.
Take the
I'm
over.
speechless. I'm going to let you close because I'm speechless. Steve out.
Sure. And that's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, it's real simple. Enjoy the games and good luck tonight.
Between now and Selection Sunday on March 13th, there are still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special, which includes the rest of college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. Sign up for this promotion now at your favorite handicappers homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship on Monday, April 4th for just $177. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experience in sports. Act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time.